I'm back.
Hi everybody.
Today
Okay,
we're going to do an
here's
intro
problem
for
1012.
And this is true
First of all,
whether
the
you're
most
on
important
Windows
thing,
they refer to
the
these as
Mac.
the line graph.
Now,
that
if
is
you're
untrue.
if you're on the Mac,
patently untrue.
you'll go to your
I
launch pad.
am what is
And if
called
you'd like
a
me, it
time
won't come
series
up.
expert. This is a time series
Okay,
plot.
and you'll see the R.
The data follows
if you're
a
on
time
Windows,
series.
you're going to
It is
see
a
the
variable
R
that
on
is
your
collected
desktop
over
itself,
time.
and you'll
Trust
double
me
click
on
it,
this
and
one.
it will come up.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
everybody's just
So
going to
we've
look
got
the
that.
same.
And I
roughly.
find that term line
the
graph
Windows
just
will look
makes
a
my
little
skin
bit different
crawl.
on the top,
but
it's going
be
to
that
be the
as it
same.
is.
Basic
I'll show you
structure.
how to do it, and I'll give
now
it
you
the right
notice
name.
one thing that's a little different than
So in this
you're
one,
used
they're
to,
looking at
is that the R runs from
number
the
of
command
arrests for
line
civil
rather
disorder
than from menus.
in the late 1960s
But
and
you'll
early
learn
1970s.
very quickly how to deal with that.
And
what
again,
I'm
I
going
put
to
the
do,
data
I will
set
give you the actual
in a
code
file
that you
now,
put in for
if you
every
look
single
at
thing
your
that
book,
you do.
it has
So you don't have to
say
worry about
January
learning
through
it
March,
in the
April
sense that you
through
can learn
June,
as
and
much
so
or
on.
as little
That's
as you
actually
want.
quarterly data.
But I will always
Right?
provide
it
the
occurs
code
once
for
every
you.
3 months. It's quarterly
So
data.
you can use R
So I
as
put the data
simply
in,
as a calculator.
and this is a time series. So you see, when instead of just using the C for concatenate,
yes,
I'm
it
using
always
TS.
puts that one.
Yes, I know it stands for something else.
With the brackets in there.
For time series.
It sees it as
so the original
an
data
output of vector
I
size
put in
1
as a regular vector,
3 times.
but now I want it to be a time series.
6, and it comes back
I tell
18.
it to start in
Okay,
1968.
fine. That's boring.
And the
That's
frequency
no
is 4.
So let's
referring
do
to
something
quarterly
interesting.
data.
All right.
I want to plot a time
what else can
series.
we do that would be fun? Well,
and I'm plotting that
who
time
wants to
series.
create a
The
bar
Y
chart?
label, the label on the Y-axis is the number of arrests.
Because that's what we're doing in this section.
The X label
creating bar charts.
is the year.
So what I'm
And of
going
course,
to do
the title is the number of arrests.
Set up a bunch of values
in the late 1960s and early 1970s.
Count out how many of them there are, and put them in the bar chart.
Kind of mess around with that with the title.
We know that those are quantitative values. I'm sorry, categorical values.
I will
so
give you
explicitly. You know,
the
like
command
how many
you
cats
use, so don't
are
be
there,
panicking
how many
thinking,
dogs
how am I
there,
ever going to come up
or
with
something like
commands?
that.
No, you won't have to.
So
I will put in there what you need to use, so not to worry.
I'm going to make up some fake data. Now, I would never have you do this.
Talk about long-term trend, seasonal trend.
Sample.
I can remember some of this stuff because I was a little kid when some of the stuff was coming on. If you look particularly at April through June in 1968, that's when Dr. Martin Luther King was shot, when Bobby Kennedy was shot. That's why things went absolutely nuts then. I remember a little bit about that. I guess I would have been about 7 when that was going on. And that was pretty crazy.
And
you also see a lot of stuff, again, in the April through May, or April, May, and June. A lot of students were protesting on campus.
And I said I wanted a bar plot.
In the springtime, again, for civil disobedience, for the Vietnam War. You'll see things again in the summer. The big summer of love, a lot of protesting going on.
So then
in
you
that.
have your
Wasn't
table.
so lovely as you might think.
You have C for
Woodstock,
cats.
all that good stuff going on.
You've got your C.
Now you notice
the same number of dogs. Got a lot of ferrets. And not so many parrots.
Late April, early May of 1970.
That's what you do. And essentially what I would say,
University
I would give
Ohio.
you a data set.
You notice how things started dropping since
your cats and dogs and ferrets and parrots.
There was a little blip,
and
in
I would tell you,
and then after that, the whole thing started dropping again. But the
table of X,
the peak,
and you would just put that in
again, was in April of.
Now, if you read chapter 10,
and notice when you have the high points, those are called peaks.
I need to put
the
labels
low points are called troughs.
And
you can have many of them. You'll have sometimes these are called localized peaks and troughs.
Pets.
And you can have global. That'll be the highest one within the chart. This is your global peak, and the global trough appears to be this one.
And this is very simple. And again, as I promised you,
that's the kind of thing that you're looking for.
Code.
Some of the stuff that we do, in a sense,
now what if I want to put some
data
in myself?
You have to look at the context of what's going on. It's not just enough just to look at the data.
Use something.
You have to think about what was going on.
I'm going to call the variable y. I'm going to have a numeric
what was going
variable.
on in that place.
And I'm going to use.
So it's interesting to look at that, or at least it is for me.
I'm going to use the
I'm a bit of a history buff. even if I wasn't there at that particular time. So it's kind of fun to look that stuff up.
I'm going to have them close
you
together.
Have Google,
no
so you have
spaces
access
in between.
to that sort of thing.
That's actually what's called an assignment character.
All right. So please
I'm going to use lowercase c.
Let me know if you have any questions.
Stands for
look at the file. See if you can replicate
and I'm
this
put
stuff.
in 1
and I will give you
3
some
and 5.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
6 and 9. Okay. And if now when I hit enter, I hit return, nothing happens. But if I hit Y and then hit return, then I get the vector back, 1, 3, 5, 6, and 9. Okay? So what if I said, oh, well, that's okay, but I wanted to have a 4 instead of a 5 in there. So how do I correct that? Well, there's two things I could do. I could either go back in and type in the whole thing again. I would hit the up arrow and just scooch back and change that into a 4. That would work. And that's okay if you just have a little data set. But what if I had a great big data set? Let's put the 5 back in there. Okay, so now the 5 is back in there. Pretend for a moment that was a big data set. And I didn't want to go back in and scroll through it. I look and notice that's in the 3rd position, right? Good. So I want Y, and I'm going to use square brackets. I want Y to equal, or essentially to be assigned, the value 4. So now when I type in Y, oh look, now it's 4. Okay? So that's really all you have to do with the data. Now, some of the time, if it's a little data set, you can key that in yourself. Just do like we're doing here. You either use that lowercase c and put it in parentheses and type it in, or you can also use something called scan. Okay. And you'll put in, so I just use the variable z. You put in scan, open and close parentheses, and you could put in 1, 3, 4, 6, and 9. And when you're done, you hit enter the second time, and it tells you that it read 5 items. Okay? So that's always an option. For large data sets, I will actually give them to you in files. And I do have a file, and let me show you something that you need to check before you bring the file in. All right, you have to have the file in the correct directory. You know about directories from doing stuff in Office, in Word, and PowerPoint, and all those good stuff. So in R, you have to see which directory is your current working directory. So you're going to type in something called get wd, open paren, close paren. And I'm on my Mac, so it says it's in users em Hodges. So my my file that I have my data set in has to be in em Hodges as well, users em Hodges. Okay, well I have one in there, and I can use scan, and then I put in file is equal to, and I have a file called statlit.txt, and there were 4 items in there. Oh look. Wow, it's like a miracle. Okay? And that's as it should be. Okay? So then, when you're ready to leave, and you've had enough of this stuff, and you want to run out screaming, before we run out screaming, let me tell you one thing. Things that you really don't want to give variable names are, do not use the letter C. Why? Because for concatenate. Do not use the letter T. T is an actual function name for something in matrices. Do not use Q. Q will mess you up when you go to quit because it's part of the quit function at the end. Okay? Don't use C. Don't use T. Don't use Q. All right? Now, when you're ready to quit, when you've had enough, you say Q, open paren, close paren, hit enter. Now,
Here's one place you're going to see a little bit of a difference between the Mac and the Windows. It's going to say closing our session. This is going to say save, don't save, cancel. On the Windows, it's going to say save, yes, no, cancel. You're going to hit save. On the Mac, you're going to say yes. On Windows, that's the only difference. And poof, it's done. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.